The one way of life is storing things on earth. The other way of life is storing things in heaven. Having an eye that's full of light, of serving God. The Sermon on the Mount is also for unbelievers to listen in on it and to evaluate whether they want to be a disciple or they're willing to pay the price of being a disciple. To a non-Christian or someone who's wondering about whether they want to be a Christian or wondering about the nature of discipleship, maybe they're a brand new Christian, this may be shocking to them. You mean I can't serve God and my career simultaneously? I mean, doesn't God bless us when we become Christians? Won't I get richer than ever? So this will be shocking to some people. We're talking about attitude. He's saying, look at your character. The starting point is diagnose yourself. You're a sinner. You're poor, and you should mourn. And then chapter 5 is full of this. Don't just be content with doing the right thing, but look at the heart. Are you hating people inside? Diagnosis. If you're putting your stress on this world, don't just be superficial about it. Ask the question, why? Well, it's because there's something wrong with your eye. You're full of darkness. That sounds so much like an analysis of the soul. If you find yourself doing the wrong thing, don't just say, I'm going to try harder and do better. It's not enough to change. You've got to get to the root of the matter where there's darkness in you. It's also true that what we do changes who we are. That if you tell a lie once, it's easier the next time. And if you tell a lie 3 times, it's even easier the 10th time. And it's true that if you're generous once and you give sacrificially once and it's almost impossible for you and it practically kills you, the second time it may be easier. And if you do it again and again and again and again, you just may become a generous person. You don't need to worry about your life. Your life is more important than food and your body more important than clothing. Don't worry because God takes care of birds and you're more important than birds. So God will take care of you. What can worrying accomplish? What can you do by worrying? Can you add an hour to your life? If you live your life in worry, you're basically living like a pagan. Because pagans run saying, what shall we eat? What shall we drink? What shall we wear? Pagans run after these things. Are you like that? What you need to do, verse 33, is seek first God's kingdom and God's righteousness. All these things will be added to you means God will add them. Don't just have the right attitude toward possessions in some general sense, but you have the right attitude toward possessions because you believe in God. Pursue God for His blessings so you can do these things. Will you obey this and bear fruit or not? Grace is in all this from the beginning. Blessed are the poor in spirit. If after hearing Matthew chapters 5 and 6 you feel overwhelmed and you ask the question, where is grace in all this? Then good, you've gotten the point. Blessed are the poor in spirit. Ask and it will be given to you by God. Seek and you will find. Knock and the door will be opened to you by God. That's the promise that He makes. So when you see your inability to obey, then you ask God. If you use this knowledge about the righteous life to judge others, what you've just done is prove that you know the standard. And if you know the standard and you don't keep it, then you've condemned yourself. Take a good, hard look at yourself. See the plank in your own eye. Take the speck out of your own eye. Then you'll be able to see clearly for others. What he's saying is this. You be hard on yourself first. You practice this command yourself. Then you may have a few ideas about how others should practice it. And that's good counsel too. Don't give dogs what is sacred and do not throw your pearls to pigs. They do. If you do, they may trample them under their feet and then turn and tear you to pieces. Verses 1 to 5 says, don't judge. What does verse 6 say? Determine who's a pig and who's a dog. And what do you have to do that? You have to judge. You have to understand that the words pig and dog are extremely harsh language. And, it's kind of like that proverb, don't answer a fool according to his folly, lest you be like him. And the very next one, do answer a fool according to his folly, lest he be wise in his own eyes. And the Proverbs is saying, you figure out which one applies. Now, there is a turning point in front of you. There's a decision to be made. There are 2 roads. As you receive all of this, there is an easy road, there's a hard road. There are 2 ways of looking at your life. You can say that your life is going to be a tree that is good and is fruitful. And you can bear fruit by loving and trusting God. Or you can have a life, a tree, that bears nothing but bad fruit as years go by. Which kind of tree are you? There's some people who confess Christ and say, oh, Lord, I cast out demons in your name. I believe in you. I trust in you. But Jesus says, I never knew you. You said the words, you did the deeds, but I never knew you? Are you one who truly does know, and you say, Jesus is my Lord, and you know what that means? And there are two kinds of builder. On what do you build in verse 24? Are you building on sand? You know, it's like cheap land. It's like land that can be flooded. You're going to buy flood land and build a house there? Well, you know, it's great. Flood land is great. It's really cheap. When the flood comes, what is your house built on? Is your house built on the rock? Christ is the rock, and so the reader, you or me or the hearer, is confronted with a string of questions. What God asks of us is to choose the dangerous road, the awesome road, the overpowering road, the road that makes us feel how little we are. It's much more dangerous, but it's much better.